Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Bruce. In case you are new here, on this channel you'll find everything from homemaking to homeschooling to mom encouragement and support. So if you're into any of that, I would love to have you stick around and subscribe to my channel. But today is all about answering the questions that you guys have asked me. So I asked on here and on Instagram, what are some questions that you guys have for me? How can we get to know each other better? What do you want to know about me? And you guys gave some awesome questions. And so today I'm going to be answering some of those questions for you. So let's get started. The first one says, how did you teach your kids to stay in their room until 7:30 in the morning? Okay, well, it starts super early. It starts very early on. So we believe in sleep training. We have sleep trained all of our kids. So from the minute pretty much that they get home from the hospital, or at least by 4 months old, they're all sleeping through the night, usually in their crib, in their own rooms. And that is how it starts. So that just getting them out of your room and into their room is step number one. But then how do you keep them in there? Well, you just say you're not allowed to get up until 7:30, and you can put a clock in there. If they're too little to tell time, you can get one of those okay to wait clocks. We love those. Or if they keep getting out of their bed, you just say, go back to your bed. It's not time to wake up yet. It's just something you're going to have to put your foot down on. You may have to implement some disciplining, but we just have that. That's like a strict rule in our house. And obviously the 2-year-old, he is still struggling with that just a little bit, just because we just moved him into a new bed and we moved his sister in the bed with him. So he will usually get out of his bed at like 6:30, and he'll come in our room for a minute, but I usually say, nope, you got to go back to bed. It's not time to wake up yet. And he usually does, but we're still working with him on that. But the rest of them are really good about waking up at 7:30 for the most part, unless we are like traveling or something like that. And then on the weekends too, we don't really have a rule on when they need to wake up. They can wake up as early or as late as they want to. They just can't come in and wake up mom and dad. Okay, this one says, what chores do your kids do? At what age do you start giving chores? I feel like I have a whole video on this already, so if I do, I will link it up here for you guys. We start chores really young. I think it's usually when they're like 3 or 4 is when they get their own little chore chart. They have like a little dry erase. It's just a laminated piece of paper that they have their chores on, and they go in with a dry erase marker and they check off the things that they've done that day. If they're too young to read, I usually do pictures. Otherwise, it's just words, and they go in and check off the things that they have to do. The little bitty ones, they have to do things like brush their hair and put their clothes on for the day and make their bed and wipe off the table. They might do things like set the dinner table. But they can do a lot more than you think they can, so don't underestimate them. It's so good to start at an early age teaching kids responsibility and a work ethic. But for my older kids, they do things more like unload the dishwasher, load the dishwasher, wipe down the bathroom sinks, wipe down the toilets, sweep the floors after every meal. They do things like get the mail, water plants, clean out the chicken coop. With all of my kids, they have a set of chores that they do every single day that usually stays the same for about a year. I don't usually change their chore chart, but every 6 months to a year, depending on what we need. And so they have those chores. They have probably about 7 to 10 chores that they do every single day. They usually do a few in the morning and then a few after school in the afternoon. They have 6 chores that they do only once a week. So on Monday they have a certain chore they do, on Tuesday they have a certain chore they do, and those things are like vacuuming, cleaning out the car, picking up the toys outside, just different things like that. What I did is I kind of looked at my workload, like what I was doing as far as my homemaking, and I was like, where could they help me? And especially for my older ones, I knew they could be doing a lot more than they were doing. So that is when we added in, like when I had my 4th kid, I was like, okay, y'all gotta help more because I'm drowning here. And that's when they started doing things like sweeping the floors and loading the dishwasher and cleaning the bathrooms. And that has helped me so much. But we just tell them it's part of being a part of our home, and a part of this family is you pitch in and you do your part. We all work together and we're all a team. We also give them a little bit of money every week for their chores. They don't get chores if they have an attitude while they're doing them, or if they don't do them all the way, or if they forget chores, they get a little bit less money that week. But if you want to know about all of that, you can check out that video because I think I covered it in detail in that video. This next question says, how do you balance mom life and YouTube and other pursuits? It's something I struggle with a lot because I don't want to be on my phone a lot. I don't want my kids to see me like working a lot. I want them to know that they are my main job, and I love being their mom, and I love being a homemaker, and all we need really is Jesus and our family, right? We really don't need anything else. But YouTube is very fun for me. It helps my family financially a little bit. I don't make a ton of money with it, but it's definitely a blessing for us, and it is fun for me. It's an outlet for me. It's also a way for me to be able to minister to other moms. I really look at it as a ministry in a way that I can share the gospel with others and just encourage moms in their motherhood and in their homemaking and all of that. But it's definitely something I do have to balance. And what I've been doing lately, this changes season to season. So kind of how I keep it balanced is I try to kind of set work hours. So I really try, I've been doing bad at this lately, but I try to get up early in the morning before the kids wake up so I can have a little bit of devotion time and maybe like 5 or 10 minutes just to kind of get my business stuff organized for the day. Like if there's a YouTube video I need to shoot, just start trying to think about that. Or if there's a quick email that I need to answer with a brand, I could do that. And then I also schedule in a little bit of time in the afternoons to work on that. That's usually when my little one is sleeping, taking his nap, and the older ones are doing some kind of quiet time or playing outside. I have that time to do any editing or emails or blog things that I need to do. That I maybe will do that for like an hour. And then sometimes I will have a little bit of time when the kids go down at night. But honestly, I don't work on my business a whole lot at night because I'm usually very tired at night, and that I just don't work well at night. I just don't have the mental capacity to be working in the evening, so I rarely do that. But if I have like a deadline or something, I will work a little bit in the evenings. And then what I've been doing lately is every week or every other week, depending on what we have in the budget, I will hire a babysitter for about 3 or 4 hours, one day a week. This is when my husband is working and when we're not doing homeschool, and I'll get her to come and watch the kids, and I'll usually just go to a coffee shop and just do nothing but work that whole time. Sometimes I'll take like 30 minutes on the front end or the back end and do a few errands that I needed to run, but I try to save those for like the days my husband's off, and the day that I have my babysitter that I'm paying someone, I try to use that just for my work time. That has been helping me so much. I even have like a whole to-do list that I keep for just my work day, and I will just knock out everything on that list on my work day. And sometimes I will do that work day when my husband is off, but he's just been having to work some overtime lately, so that just hasn't been an option. So we've needed to hire a babysitter, but it's just been different seasons have been different with that. But I do try to keep it separated from like my family life. And you may think that I do this a lot, like I'm filming a lot, but I'm really not. I usually, if we're doing a day in the life, that usually takes me half of a day, one day. If I'm doing a sit down video like this, that I'll usually batch film. So I'll do 2 or 3 at a time in one day, and that takes me about an hour or 2. And then I won't be filming at all like that whole next week. It's not like I'm always having to do something. I do usually have emails always that I need to respond to and things like that, but those don't take a lot of time. So it really is not a lot of work right now. I have my Made to Homeschool stuff that I contribute to monthly, and just different things with brand partners and different companies that I work with, but I don't feel like it's a lot, and I do that purposely. I don't take on a lot. You guys know I don't do a whole lot of like sponsorships and things like that because I don't want this to become my main thing. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I do that. I hope that that kind of helps, but The next question says, my husband has to go away with the military for a few weeks and I'm not looking forward to it. She says she has a 2-year-old and an 18-month-old and they love daddy and they look forward to him coming home, and she's usually done by the end of the day and needing him to come home too, and she's wondering how I do it when daddy's not around. Well, we have a lot of night shifts we have to get through. My husband doesn't usually have work trips he has to go on, so I'm very thankful for that because that would be really, really hard. But he does work nights, and that is really, really hard on me. I have a really hard time on those days usually because it is very helpful to have dad there for the bedtime routine and the dinner cleanup. It's so helpful. And so the days that he's not here, though, it's really hard. But it's getting easier, especially as I have older kids that are approaching the teen years. They are able to help me a lot more. And I'm just learning to manage it better the older I get, I guess. And my kids, I'm also not having like little tiny babies anymore. It's very sad. But so that's getting a little bit easier too, as far as like the bedtime and all of that. I don't have babies crying when I put them down and things anymore. But my advice to you guys that are in the trenches with that, if you have husbands that are working nights or husbands that take long trips, is just give yourself grace. Plan some fun things to do during those days so that it breaks up the day a little bit. You don't feel like it lasts forever. This could be as simple as taking a picnic to the park, or meeting a friend for a play date at the park, or taking them to a trail and doing a walk, or taking them to the mall and just walking around. That's actually what we're going to do today because dad is working. You could invite a friend over and you and her just like go in together and buy pizza for all the kids and let them like watch a movie and you and her just chat. Especially if it's a friend that worked with your husband, so she's in the same situation as you are. Well, y'all just join forces and go at this together. It's always so great to reach out to other moms, and usually they're going through a lot of the same things that you're going through, and they need other friends in their life and they need mom time too. So definitely reach out to other people. Get involved in a church where you can find some awesome Christian friendships. I also recommend asking for help if you have a relative, like a mom who could come in town for even a few days while he's gone. That would help so much. It would be so fun to just be able to hang out with your mom and talk and chat, and she will be a great help to you with the kids, hopefully, if that's your situation. Even if you can't reach out to a mom, maybe you have a sister or a friend who might could come visit you for a couple of days during that time. Just try to focus on the good things that are happening and try to be positive. Try to listen to a lot of worship music so that you are uplifted and peaceful, and get in the Word. Be sure that you're in the Word so that you have more patience and kindness towards your kids, because it can definitely be hard. Also, hire a babysitter for maybe one of those days so you can at least get a little break, even if it's like for an hour or two. That can sometimes be life-changing for a mom who's in the trenches and husband's away. Just to have a minute or two by yourself. Do that if you can afford to do that. Okay, this one says, how do you handle complaining and whining from your kids, if they do, when it comes to not wanting to do schoolwork or just other daily requests? Okay, we're definitely in the trenches with this one. And if you guys have any advice on how you deal with this, let us know in the comments below. I think we all need some help here because we're definitely struggling with this right now, especially with my older two. They're starting to approach the teen years, and we're just seeing some attitudes and some complaining and things like that. And I would just recommend, guys, make sure that you're in the Word with your kids every single day so that they know what God says about things like that, and they know what the Word has to say about godly character. If you haven't heard of my family devotional, Hello Peace, it's a great one to do with your kids. I'll put a link. There's always a link to that in the description box in case you guys want to check that out on Amazon. But it is a great one to do with your kids and just to get them talking, and it covers a lot in there about godly character, and I think it will be really helpful for this particular question. One practical way we do this, especially with my little ones, is we have whining medicine that they get if they're just whining a lot, and it's vinegar, and they have to drink it. So if they are whining a lot, the first thing I do is I say, go to your room. Nobody wants to be around you when you're whining. And when you can calm down and stop whining, you can come out. So that's usually the first thing we do. If they continue to whine, I usually will warn them a few times. I say, you're about to get some whining medicine if you continue whining, because no one likes to hear that. And then if they continue, they get whining medicine. And then sometimes we'll take it a step farther and implement some disciplining. But that's what we do for the little ones. Even the older ones, that actually still works for them too, is the whining medicine. So we don't have a lot of whining in our house because of that. That works great for that. But the complaining, we do have to deal with that some. And I usually just try to get to the heart of the issue and try to point them back to Jesus and try to give them grace as much as I can, but also teach them that, hey, we can't complain about everything, because that's not how God wants us to act. Because God wants us to be joyful in all that we do and be happy and be helpful. And we talk a lot about, if they're a part of this family, they have to help and they have to do their chores, and we all have to work together to keep the ship sailing. And so we talk a lot about that. But honestly, you have to also think about your example that you're setting for them. Do you do your tasks with grumbling and complaining, or do you do your tasks joyfully as unto the Lord? Because they are going to model what they see you doing. So we are their biggest example. We are showing them Jesus through our actions every single day. So that's also why it's really important that when we do things with grumbling and complaining, or we do lose our temper, that we're apologizing for that, so that they can see that we are imperfect sinners too, just like them, and we mess up too. And we're also thankful for God's grace. So I'm not sure if that's helpful or not. Like I said, we're still kind of in the trenches with all of this, but that's at least what we're doing right now, and I think it's working pretty well. I feel like we're getting somewhere at least with it. Okay, this says, how long does the whole dinner process take you? Dinner prep to serving to clean up. It takes me a really long time. Yeah, it can. I guess it just depends on what meal I'm making. If I'm making chili, I'll do that early in the day. It takes me about 20 minutes. I put it in the crock pot. It's hardly any cleanup. It doesn't take me long to serve it. That whole meal is on the table in like 10 minutes, and usually we've eaten in about 30 minutes. We clean up, so that doesn't take a long time. But if I'm doing something like elaborate, like, I don't know, like a chicken pasta or something like that, it'll take me about an hour usually. I usually spend about an hour on dinner prep, but sometimes it can be close to 2 hours depending on what if I'm baking something or anything like that, or if I'm doing sourdough bread, or if I'm doing a dessert. So the prep work is usually about an hour. The cooking part is usually 30 minutes to an hour. And then we eat. It takes us about 30 minutes, 45 maybe, to eat dinner. And then after dinner, everyone pitches in and we all clean up dinner together. Sometimes I go and take a bath and they all do the cleanup. Like, that's maybe one day a week, but sometimes they do it all. But my big boys, they do a lot of it. They clear the table, they wipe the table, they clean the floors. I usually just put the food away and I do some of the dishes. Sometimes my husband does some of the dishes, and then sometimes our older son does some of the dishes too. But the cleanup part doesn't take us long either. It maybe takes 20 or 30 minutes. So I hope that that's helpful. I feel like that's probably pretty normal for most families. That's also, if you're struggling, you feel like things are taking a long time, you may want to think about implementing some freezer meals to your rotation, because that helps us a lot on really busy nights and nights where we don't have time to do a lot of prep or cleanup. That really helps a lot. How do you teach good character to your kids? Are there any resources you recommend? I think I just touched on that a good bit a minute ago, but I will say I love the Dare to Discipline books, or any of the James Dobson parenting books are so great. And I feel like he does a good job at talking about some of this. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend that book. You can listen to it on Audible as well. The biggest book I can recommend, I know this is going to be maybe cheesy sounding, but it's the Word of God, the Bible. That's our best resource when you want to teach godly character to your kids, because really everything is laid out right there for you. And I know that there are also like some great character training, like flip cards you can get online. I can't think of who sells those right now, but I know that those are available. There's also some like books that you can buy for like maybe your homeschool or maybe your family devotional time that talk about godly character and teaching that to your children. So maybe that's something to look into. But that's another one of those that's really going to be taught by living it out by your example. That's how they catch on to that. But, just be teaching them the word at a young age, encouraging them to hide God's word in their heart. My kids are always memorizing scripture. And I feel like just by hiding God's word in their heart, that's going to teach them godly character, because that's a lot of what the scripture is all about. Okay, this one says, first, I want to say what a blessing you and your channel are for me. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. My next question is homeschool related for language arts. I struggle with wanting to change from the good and the beautiful, but not finding what I'm looking for in the budget that I have. I have looked into so many and like the readers from Sunlight, like BJU and All About Reading, but I can't afford these as I would need to add to make all the language art aspects. So she's wanting to know, have I adjusted a curriculum in any way that works? Any tips? You guys know I really haven't. We use primarily the good and the beautiful for language arts and math, but you know that we also love All About Reading, and we have used that with one of my children. But other than that, like, we stick to the good and beautiful. And I really am a firm believer in sticking with one curriculum and trying not to scoot around to all these different things, because I feel like things get missed within that, especially with math. So I feel like that's dangerous and something you want to be cautious about. Obviously, if it's not working for your child, you need to change it up. But if it's really working pretty well, then I would just say keep going with it and sticking with it and staying consistent with that one program. And I would also ask you, what exactly isn't working about it? And if there's just like one thing, maybe it's the reading part, or maybe it's the writing part. If it's just that one thing about the good and the beautiful that you don't like, then maybe supplement a little bit in that area. So if you feel like the good and the beautiful is not working well with writing for your son or daughter, you could add in IEW or just Fix It Grammar. If you felt like the reading wasn't quite up to par, you could add in maybe something like a little workbook for reading, or you could add in like extra flashcards or sight words or things like that. And you can get creative with it, and it doesn't have to be something very expensive. But also, if it's something like All About Reading that you really want to try, but the budget is the big hurdle, then I would say look for those used, because you can find used curriculum very easily on a bunch of different websites. If you just Google used homeschool curriculum, lots of different websites will come up. I think it's called Homeschool Classified. It's kind of like Craigslist, but for homeschool books, and also thrift books. You can find a lot there. So definitely check out those options. There's also used bookstores in your area will sometimes even have a whole homeschool section. So just definitely check that out, because I feel like if budget is a problem with any curriculum, you can usually get past that by buying it used. What is your best advice on how to stay motivated in being a Christian homemaker? I guess you're asking, how do you not run out of steam? And this is hard, because sometimes you just do. Like, sometimes we just get tired and we just need to rest. And that is why the Lord has given us the Sabbath, because He knew, especially us mamas, we need that day to rest. And so I really hope that you're taking advantage of that rest day that the Lord has given you. And even if it's not on Sunday, it can be any day of the week. Just take a day of the week and really try to focus on rest. Don't do a lot of cooking. Don't do a lot of cleaning. Do things that bring you rest for your heart and your soul and your mind. And I think that will help you a lot in your homemaking. Especially, you're not going to feel like you're just always on and you're always working and no one's helping you, and you just get into that place where you're just like, woe is me, I am doing everything. I find when I get that way that it's really because I haven't rested and I'm just trying to do too much. And so even if you have a long list of to-dos, sometimes it's best to just sit and rest. But one thing, honestly, that really helps me is just getting out of bed in the morning, reading my Bible, and then making my bed. I've said it over and over, but you guys know it's a huge thing for me. Making my bed in the morning gets me on the right track as far as my homemaking goes for the rest of the day. I feel like I've done this one task. Okay, let's do it. Let's start some laundry. Let's start some sourdough. Let's start dinner prep. Like, I got it after that. So, and it just really helps set my day up for a successful day and helps me not be as lazy. And it also helps me not be tempted to get back in my bed and take a little snooze and get lazy, or maybe lay down and scroll my phone. So that is a big thing that I would recommend, is starting your day early, and start by making your bed. Okay, this one says, how is it for you getting started with YouTube? Do you have any tips or tricks for someone who would like to contribute something positive through YouTube but isn't totally sure about doing it or what to focus on? I started YouTube, 2 years ago, and I just started with one video. I was like, I'm just gonna post this, see how it does. And I already had a background in photography. I was a photographer for years and years, a professional photographer. And so I had that background, and I kind of knew the ins and outs of how to work a camera and how to use the editing software. So I didn't have to learn a lot from scratch like some of you would probably need to if you were just starting out. But I will say YouTube was very helpful for me, like watching other YouTube videos about starting the business. I watched a lot of YouTube videos to figure it all out. I didn't have anyone I could ask, really. I didn't know anyone already on YouTube that I could ask. So I really just learned everything by Googling things, getting on YouTube and looking up things, and just trial and error. Like, you can go back and look. Some of my first videos, they were pretty crappy. They were done on my phone. They weren't fancy, but my channel did really well, and it grew really, really fast. And I was able to hit so many goals even in that first year by just being consistent. That's really the main thing, is being consistent. You don't have to have the best camera or editing software or spend all this money on things. I have never gone into debt with any of my businesses on anything. I always just start small and work my way up to better equipment, better lighting, better cameras. But just start out small, take it one video at a time, try to learn something new, maybe every few videos, so you're getting better and better, and then just be consistent. So those are that's my main advice with YouTube. This next question says, how do you get your kids to play outside and away from the screens? Well, you guys know I am a big proponent of this, and my kids play outside like probably 40 to 50% of their day is outside. I'm literally watching them play out these windows right now. But I think that screens are taking over our children, and they're producing some really, I don't know how to say it, some really scary adults. Some kids that just have no idea how to relate to people. They have no idea how to talk to adults. They have no idea how to get a job. They have no idea how to work. They don't even know how to carry on a conversation with another adult. And it's really sad and really scary. And I think screens are a huge reason that is happening. And so I think it's something we have to be very, very careful about, and we have to talk to the Lord about, guys. This is not a decision we should be making without His help. So if you're trying to decide, should we have screen time? Should we buy an iPad? Should my kids have a TV in their room? Please pray about it. Pray and ask the Lord what He would have you do about it, because I promise you His advice is going to be better than anything you can Google. Definitely ask the Lord about it, and talk to your spouse about it, and just don't be influenced by what your kids want, okay? Because they are kids and they don't know what they need. They don't know. They know what they want. They don't know what they need. Only us as parents and the Lord know what they truly need. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're making your decisions. But for us, we do like 1 hour of screen time a day. It's usually while I'm trying to prep dinner, is when the boys, that we have a Wii, and so they're allowed to play that for about an hour, and then my 2 little ones are allowed to watch a show. And that's usually for 1 hour, and that's usually it. Now, sometimes as a family, we will sit down and watch something in the evening, but not every night. And also on the weekends, sometimes they get extra like TV time, but we don't do screens. None of my kids have a cell phone. None of my kids have an iPad or a TV in their room. They don't have a Switch. They don't have any of that. They play outside. They play a lot of games, which brings me to today's sponsor, which is Geiger Toys. I am so excited to be working with them again because I love their toys. They are so hands-on and so interactive, and they get kids' brains working, and they get kids off screens. And so I think that they are an awesome activity activity for kids to do, especially if it's like raining outside, or maybe you need something for one child to do while you work with the other one in your homeschool. So let me tell you a little bit about their brand new tic-tac-toe bolt game. This game is perfect for kids ages 4 and up and is a combination of 3 mini games based on the classic tic-tac-toe theme. It features a touchscreen console with 2 different games, including a new rule for the traditional tic-tac-toe game and an exciting memory-tested game, which my kids are really loving. The bottom half of the box contains a new game called Cover Up Tic-Tac-Toe. This one is so much fun. It can accommodate up to 4 players, making it ideal for individuals or gatherings of all ages. My kids have been having so much fun with this game, and I'm so excited to take this toy on vacation with us because it's going to be a great on-the-go game. It's also great for homeschool because you can give it to one child to play with independently while you work with another child. So if you would like to get tic-tac-toe bolt for your kids, I highly recommend it. And Geiger is actually giving all of my followers a discount on this game, so you can get 15% off if you use my code, which I will put in the description box below. Thank you so much to Geiger for sponsoring this video. Okay, this is the last one I have time for today. This one is weight loss tips. I noticed in your last video you've lost weight. What did you do? It does look like I've lost weight. Like I can tell on this camera with my face, but I really haven't lost a whole lot. I think I might be losing a little bit of fat, but like gaining muscle because I am working out really consistently, and I've been able to do more this year than I was able to do last year because last year I was dealing with an elbow injury with like my tennis elbow, and I think I'm getting some arthritis. I'm getting old and just different things like that. So I wasn't able to work out as hard last year, and so this year I've been able to go at it a little bit harder. I've been trying to add in a little bit more HIIT and lifting a little bit heavier, and I think that that's really helped. But one thing I did do recently, I think I talked about it in one of my videos, maybe I'll link it up here, is I did a 3-day refresh, which is like a 3-day cleanse with Beachbody. It worked so well, y'all. It helped me so much. I lost 5 pounds on it, which blew my mind, and I just felt so good at the end of it. So I'm trying to implement kind of like a cleanse day like that every week or so. Not quite as strict as what I was doing on the 3-day refresh, and I'm also not using those exact products, but something similar. But I'm trying to do that every like week or even like 2 days a week just to kind of change things up, because that's one thing I've noticed for my weight loss is if I eat the same things every single day and do the same things every single day, I have a really hard time losing weight. So my body likes change, and so I've been trying to do that more, like eating different foods and doing some different things. I've been even experimenting a little bit with carb cycling some. So just all of those things have really helped me. I don't think there's any like one thing that has been like, that is what did it for me. It's just trying a bunch of different things lately is kind of what I've been doing, and just trying to eat a variety of food. And also have it in my hand as I'm speaking, water. So much water. I drink so much water, and that helps a lot too. Okay, friends, I think that is all that I have time for today. Thank you so much to all of you guys who sent in all of your awesome questions. If there's some that I missed, please put them in the comments below, and I will be sure to answer those the next time I do a Q&A with you guys. Thank you guys for watching and for being here. Please give this video a thumbs up before you leave, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you back here next time. Thanks, guys.